Hey guys, hope everybody's having an awesome day. Matt again with another video from Costa Rica Crypto. So today wasn't my usual format. Today I had the honor and the pleasure of speaking with Greg. And Greg is the founder, for anybody who knows and had tokens during the EOS snapshot, of a new dApp and community that's actually called EDNA, E-D-N-A. And EDNA is a really, really interesting concept. I'm going to leave kind of a brief synopsis following this brief introduction. Just so you guys can chew on it, just for anybody who doesn't have the patience to get their way through this video. But I think if you do have the time and you do have the patience, this video is an interesting watch, regardless as to whether you're involved in blockchain, whether you like EOS, or just whether you're a human on this earth. Because I think that a lot of the information that we discuss is relevant. I think it's important, and I hope that you guys too. I hope that you guys enjoy this. As I said, not my typical format, but Greg is a really interesting cat, and I think he's doing some big things, and I think that you're going to agree if you take the time to watch this. So other than that, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Enjoy the video, and we'll talk to you soon. This is my conversation with Greg from EDNA about his new dApp, which any Genesis snapshot holders are going to have tokens for right now inside of their wallets. So check it out. Please click a like on the video if you enjoy my content, subscribe, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. You guys have an amazing day, and please enjoy the video. We'll see you soon. Bye. Myself, my regular gig is actually in fitness, and it's funny because what you're talking about, when I heard the information that you're talking about, and I kind of dug into it a little bit, I went over and I checked out your website. I'd regularly been recommending that some of my clients take some of these genome testing and genetic tests are kind of all the rage, right? And sure, they're really hot in fitness, they're really hot in wealth or in health, and it's becoming kind of the new thing. Everything from testing out what your genetic origins were, to what you're predisposed by, and to things that you should be eating, and it's really blown up really, really quickly. And I thought that was super interesting. And that was something that I was recommending on a regular basis to a lot of my clients. And then when I went over to your website, it completely changed the way I look at this, and I was horrified. And I was horrified because I think that people take these tests, and we assume that it's a harmless test. And we're paying these people a significant sum of money, right? I believe your website says it went from, what was the original figure in 2006 they were going for?
Something like $24 million to do a single person in 2006. So in the last decade, give or take, it's exceeded Moore's law in price drop. It's plummeting like a rock.
Absolutely.
And some of the things that we're not aware of is, well, let's talk about these tests. Everybody wants to know what is it? Everybody wants that. What health risks have I got? What should I be eating? What should I be doing? And maybe my DNA will give me some tips. Give me some information that I can use to my benefit. And that's good. That's good. Here's the bad. I like to explain it this way. Let's say you've got a rich grandfather, super rich. Nobody even knows how rich he is. He's rich, okay, and he dies, and you go to the reading of the will, and the attorney goes through your whole family, and then he says, "Oh, Matt, Grandpa left you this box, and it's a box." "Oh, cool. Grandma, what's in it?" "Oh, I have no idea what Grandpa left you. He could have left you anything. He could have left you the key to owning Australia. We don't know." But you walk out of there with your box, right? And there's a dude outside the lawyer's office, and he says, "Hey, man, I'll give you a pizza for that box. A whole pizza right now. You can have this pizza." All right, that's what people do when they hand over their DNA to someone, because they don't know what's in it. Now, wait a minute. Why would you do that? What's in the box? Know that first, right? Before you go handing it around, and here, you can have it. Because here's the facts of it, right? published science, known science, the stuff you and I can get our hands on, right? Published papers will explain about 1.5% of what's in our DNA. 1.5%. Now, I'm not saying that there's not some guy in a lab underground who knows 10% or 50% or all of it. I'm not saying there is that person, but I'm not saying there isn't. All I know is everybody's trying to get your box, and you don't know what's in it. And you can't know what's in it because the information hasn't even been fully uncovered yet. So why would you give that away? Why would you give rights away? Now, here's one thing I want your viewers to take away. And if you get nothing else, absolutely zero else out of this conversation, read the terms of service. Absolutely. And read them.
Absolutely.
They claim ownership to that data. They make money off that data. If there's a discovery in your DNA that cures cancer, guess what? It's $1 trillion cure. You get nothing. Is that right? And no, I say we have rights. This is what Edna is about. We have rights. We're claiming our DNA. Get your grubby hands off it. It's mine, at least until I know what it is. And once I know what it is, if I choose to share it with you, I'll share it with you. You know, I'll help the world. Now, that's why you asked me a question the other day about why the blockchain. Why has it got to be in the blockchain? Now, based on the conversation we just had, the best bet would be to get my DNA, stick it in a safe somewhere, hide it away, lock it up. Don't let anybody in it. Here's the problem. Until we share DNA and we share, well, some of your viewers are going to think that sounded weird. Let me try it a different way. Until we share the information about what's in our DNA and what it means health-wise, right? I'm blonde-haired, I'm blue-eyed, you're not. Well, the DNA says why we are that way. Until we share that information, we're never going to know what's in our DNA. You need to look at medical history against DNA to uncover what it does, what it means. So it's got to be communicated. We've got to be able to look at the data, but at the same time protect our identities. I don't want you knowing, I don't want my insurance company knowing I'm susceptible to Alzheimer's or cancer or anything else. That's none of their business, man. You know, I don't want the policeman going, well, all I got to do is type in the computer and I'll know the criminal. That's not police work. That's not how our society should run. You know, you want to live in a police state where, you know, they control everything. You can, but I don't want to be there. And frankly, I think they should do the work of doing the job of being a policeman, a detective. Go detect, figure it out. Yeah. You know, it doesn't need to all be in some big government supercomputer that every action I take, all my Facebook friends, and they're already wanting that. They want that. Come on, wake up, man. You see what they're doing, and now that they want something so personal, potentially damaging, you know, why do they want it? I don't know, but they're not telling me why they want it. They want it.
We spoke about something the other day that really struck a chord with me, and it was something that I really care about. What you're saying essentially is we're giving up our DNA for the most minimal information they're giving us back, and then they could potentially do what they want with that DNA. And I think that a lot of the times when you really give that a deep, hard look, that involves your own personal genetic information getting into the hands of people who could use it to do research. And I think a lot of the potential uses for that research would probably scare the hell out of you. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, there are people that want it for, there are companies out there in the world, and what they do for a living is produce weapons that kill people.
Absolutely.
You know, come on, they make bullets, right? They make guns, they make tanks. Well, they also make biological weapons. And if you sell your DNA to company A and give the rights of company A to sell it to company B, you have no say in where that goes. You have no say in how it's used.
That to me is scary.
And that's scary, right? It scares me, you know.
Yeah, and I think that I don't think that knowledge is out there. And I think that's what I'm really, you know, I think that that's the most beautiful thing about your project is that it puts that into a limelight. Like, a lot of people are taking these tests. They're getting popular. We're putting them all over social media. You know, take this, find out this. We're paying them to do it. They're giving us a return on that. And then whatever they might be taking that information to use and to do, to figure out what they want to figure out with, is a very high possibility that's not going to align with your moral code. And I think that that's where things start to get a little bit scary. But the perception out there is, of course, like these tests are safe in the sense that they're non-invasive, but at the same time, it's what exactly are these guys doing with the information? And you mentioned the disclaimer. I think one of the important points is that we're, according to kind of what we talked about, you're relying on a promise from these companies, and it's a promise that they're going to do the right thing with your information, right? And I think, to me, that's scary. You're relying on, and sometimes not even a promise at all. And I think that the majority of people like myself don't comb through the disclaimer. I think they're so excited about getting the results and finding out where they came from and finding out what they should be eating and what they're disposed to, that I think that a lot of the times the disclaimer it's a brief consideration at most. And I think that that's the truly scary thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, they offer up the carrot, right? You get to know how much Neanderthal and how much Viking you are. And I'm like, yeah, well, am I Viking? I want to know. And so you jump on board. And what that is a crumb. It's a crumb.
Yeah.
Barely a crumb. Now, you spoke about the FDA a second ago. Let's go there for a second. People don't understand. This is a government agency that's tasked with protecting human health and safety. That's what they do. They keep our food safe. They keep our medicine safe. They keep us safe. That's their job. 3/4 of their funding for drug testing comes from the companies they regulate. They're the only agency in the US government that accepts funding from the guys they're supposed to be policing. So if this was a cop and he takes money from criminals, is he a good cop?
Yeah, you're going to see some conflict of interest there. I think so anyway.
It's scary. It's scary. And, frankly, one of the things that if you read some of their press releases, and we have links to this in our white paper and our website, and it's kind of out there. Take the BRCA gene. It's a gene that most women have heard of. It has to do with how much you're likely to get breast cancer. And we know about 1,000 variants, 1,000, in your DNA that will create pathological conditions leading to probable cancer risks. The FDA allows you to know about 3 of those 1,000.
For sure. I read that on your website. I think that anybody, regardless as to whether you're interested in blockchain or whether you're just a person in general, has to go to that video and has to check out that has to go to your website and check out that video, because I think that video, as I said, is one of the scariest things that I've seen in a while, to be quite frank.
Well, the information, it's there. It's not that I'm making this up. You go to their press release and it says, we've allowed you, America, to know about 3 variants, genetic variants. We've allowed this. Aren't we great?
Fantastic.
And then right below it says, well, it's right under the headline. It's the second line under the headline that says, this test only allows 3 of the 1,000 known things that can be wrong with your DNA.
For sure. So we've talked a little bit about why the popularity of these tests are rising, how they've come down considerably in use. We talked about the fact that we are paying these people to essentially store information. We're getting a crumb back. But I think that one of the questions that I was asked the other day on a blockchain, or on actually Reddit, I believe it was why store it on the blockchain?
Good question. So the blockchain comes along with some very cool things in terms of accessibility to data and also autonomy. In other words, if you do things like Monero versus Bitcoin, okay, anybody can go up to the Bitcoin chain and trace down where that coin's been. Monero, slightly different. It does things called tumbling. And by tumbling, it mixes the coins up so no one knows whose coin went where. And what our plan is to do with DNA is to essentially take your DNA. Now, first let's talk about what's DNA. Well, it's a chain of molecules, and it's 3 billion pairs of molecules long. 3 billion. It's a big number. Matter of fact, if you were to write it out, ACTG, it would fill up 2 CDs to the brim. Now, what makes you and me different from each other is we all vary from the standard. It's not an average because you can't average C and T. There's no F in the middle, right? but it's a most common DNA. When you look at the standard reference, it's called the GRCH38. And what that says is, here's the most common DNA, and I vary from it because I got blue eyes. Well, that's not the most common, but I'm a variant right there. So we each have 3 million, lot smaller number. That's only a few megabytes, like 5 megabytes. 3 million places we vary from the average. Doesn't sound like a lot. 3 million is a pretty big number. If Grandpa left me that, I'd be really happy, but no such luck. So we take your 3 million variants. We put a little tag on it that identifies it. We say where it is in the DNA and what the variant is. It's called a molecular location. If you started counting at 1 and went to 3 billion, that would be its location. What's the variant? Well, I got a C there instead of a T. And then we give it a unique ID. Take my 3 million, your 3 million, and 4,998 other people and tumble them all together. And then we cast it out into the blockchain. But I hold all my little unique IDs in my wallet. So if I want my DNA to be extracted off the chain, I can do that. Here's my DNA. I got it. Now, can anybody else do that? Absolutely not. It's encrypted in my wallet. And if they try to put that puzzle together and say, oh, that's Greg's or that's Matt's, good luck. You know, that's just not going to happen. We're talking 3 million to the 5,000th power. 3 million times 3 million times 3 million, 5,000 times. You can't do that puzzle. So anyway, that's the idea of keeping it protected. Now, why you want it on the blockchain? Good. I really haven't addressed that yet, but here's the thing. Now that we've got all this data out there, we can start going, oh, there's a variant that matches that variant. And we form pools. We start collecting these pools. And then I get a little note in my wallet that says, hey, Greg, we put a piece of your DNA in a pool. Oh. So there's other people that have this variant. Let me hook up with them and figure out what it means. Oh, we all have green eyes. Ah, that's what that DNA means. That's what that DNA, we all have green eyes. Or, shoot, I got heart disease. My dad had heart disease. My uncle, my we all had heart disease. Oh, that gene must be dealing with heart disease. That variant must have something to do with it. Now, we sell that information to researchers. They can go in the chain and confirm it. If we share our medical history with them, which we are, by the way, working with another EOS-based organization that is working on privatizing, keeping your records on chain.
Nice.
I think that has some value because really, again, we don't know what the DNA means till we get together and share it. And if we can use the blockchain to tie those things together under our control with our keys, and only in situations where we want to share that.
For sure. So
now we're in control. Now we're in control. Oh, so that's why the blockchain. I hope that is...
It totally does. So what you're saying is that, just to kind of give a brief synopsis of what you said, is that we take our information, right? It's uploaded. We have access to this. We are the ones ultimately who are in control of this through an encoding process and a password. And then that information is kind of assimilated, and we're looking for likenesses and for things that could ultimately lead to curing disease and coming up with information that's going to kind of change humanity a little bit. I think that one thing that people really want to know is, do they have to opt into these studies, or is that something that they can opt out of and simply store their blockchain?
Oh, absolutely. I would never, ever, ever say that Edna. See, we have a saying around here: who's the boss of us? You're the boss of you, and you're the boss of your DNA, and that is core principle of the project. As a matter of fact, we just did an airdrop. And Edna, the community, is what we're really about. Tell a quick story. I interviewed a CEO of a multinational biotech company to replace myself. I don't want this job. I want to get out of this job, get involved with the community, and protect the community so that they make good decisions in terms of what researchers get access, how those things are structured. But the community needs to decide that. Greg doesn't want to decide that. I don't want to stand here and say, I know how to do this, you should do it my way. I want the community to reach those decisions, but I want to be a part of guiding them and explaining things and making sure that these decisions are sound and they're protected.
Why EOS, Greg?
Why EOS? Good question. First off, the throughput's important to us. Second off, the model of staking versus paying a little bit of gas. Remember, we're going to have trillions of elements of DNA on the chain. This is going to be a lot of data, and it's going to be spread out across the chain. And if we've got to pay gas like in Ethereum to actually manipulate and use that data, it's going to get expensive. But EOS allows this. It makes it possible, right? It makes it possible. So I also really believe, I know some of the core developers over there, one of them in particular, and this guy is so transparent with me, you know, so helpful. And how would I turn that down, man? These are the true experts, and they're willing to talk and share information. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I like you guys. You try to call up some other people on other chains, you don't get that far. They're not talking, man. It's our code. It's our code. We'll tell you what. No. I love these guys. I love EOS. Yeah. Cheers, guys. Well done. Well done.
I have to concur with you. I love EOS as well. I think that the way it moves information around, the extremely low cost of doing transaction fees, I think that's going to be a huge benefit for what you're accomplishing here. What's kind of like everything works out perfectly. Like this, it's a resounding success, and things go well. The project, the project becomes popular. What's your end game with all this? Like, what's the one thing that gets you out of bed every morning to get you to go to work and to make this thing happen? And what's in a perfect world, what is success with this project to Greg?
Okay. Success to this project is we're going to have some hard decisions to make in the future. One of these decisions might be my child's going to have a risk. Do I want to prevent that risk? The tools are there, and they're becoming more accessible. They'll become a lot more common. And our DNA is fluid, but also changeable by us. We can direct this code now. We have an insert, a cut, a delete, an insert, and an undo key. We have all three of these keys: insert, delete, and undo. These keys in our Word document that is our DNA are available. You can order them online today. Costs about $300 to change one of your letters. And once you've gotten the stuff to change it, all you do is feed the sugar to the bacteria to grow more of this magic undo key or insert key or delete key. Now, as we learn more about our DNA and we know that certain genes, the FOXO3A variant is the guy that's 90 years old, looks 40, drinks, smokes, doesn't exercise, has a horrible diet, and he looks great, and he feels great, and he's never been sick a day in his life. Now, that guy exists. A few of us, maybe you know one, I'm not one, but I know one. This guy's just skating through life health-wise.
For sure. So just
what if I wanted that? What if I wanted that? I'm sorry, you asked the end game, right? Here's the end game. I have no clue.
That's fair.
I have no clue. Somebody's going to come and they're going to go, look, there's a jellyfish. This is a factual thing. There's a jellyfish that is immortal. Doesn't die. It gets old, it ages, and at a certain point, its DNA flips back and it becomes an infant again. And it ages again. And it becomes an infant. What if we extract that DNA and say, hey, I want to be immortal? Is that okay? That's why I don't want, do you see now why I don't want to be a part of saying what to do?
Huge amount of responsibility.
People, yes, it is. Yes, it's massive. Somebody's going to come and go, hey man, I want hollow bones and wings. Can I have them? I want gills. I love to swim. I'm a surfer. I want gills in case I fall off the board.
I love it, man.
Give me some gills.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, what you're saying, I don't mean to cut you off. What you're saying right now, and I think that this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand and don't believe, is that we currently have the technology to turn genes on and genes off that will change characteristics, everything from our health to our physical structure to whatever it might be, to our abilities. You're telling me that we've already got that information? We've already got that ability?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now realize we know 1.5% that's published, and that's what I'm aware of. And HNM5 gene, there are people in Northern Europe, from Northern Europe, mostly plague survivors. Their ancestors survived the plague. They could pretty much swim in a swimming pool of AIDS and never get it. Wow. Their DNA doesn't create the receptor that the virus binds to. So the virus will go right through their body and it'll never attach. They're effectively immune. Now, that gene can be flipped on and off. We have the CRISPR that will go along our DNA, find that exact spot and go snip, gene's turned off, can't get eggs. Now that's one. There's thousands. And this is being done today. This technology exists right now. You can order it. Add gene, ADDGENE. Go online, order up your CRISPR. Which all you have to know is which gene you want to cut, and do you want to insert something there, or do you want to just turn that gene off?
That's crazy. And I don't think that people. I don't think that a lot of people. And I'm talking about people who aren't necessarily involved in your field of study, even realize that that's a possibility at this point, and that.
Yeah, no, it's not common knowledge. People are shocked. This is a shocking revelation. Absolutely. That this can be done, but it has been done. And once you start going in this rabbit hole, you will see that this data's happening.
Very cool. So we talked about the fact that you can upload your GNA. You can decide whether or not it wants to be used. You can opt in, you can opt out. We're creating a collective community here, that we have technology that most people would not even imagine existed today, and it's growing daily. Let's talk a little bit about the tokens, and what that kind of enables you. And let's talk a little bit about kind of the token economics here, right? So what is your token and how exactly does it work?
Well, the token's called EDNA, EDNA. And what this token has been airdropped on, just almost 1 billion now are out there in circulation. And EDNA is reserved 300 million. There are also some unclaimed tokens, mostly from exchanges, that are still they're floating. Our cap was to be 1.3 billion. We may either destroy those. Right now, I think we're leaning toward handing them over to the community and saying, "Hey, look, here's some extra cash. Figure out what you want to do." Do we want to subsidize, much like the other genetic sequencing services do? And they're effectively subsidizing you because it costs $1,000 to. It costs them $1,000 to run your DNA, turn it all into a file. And so what they do, why they can sell it for less, is they're turning around and selling that data and making additional profit, and thereby subsidizing your cost. So when it's a $59 Father's Day or whatever they have, they just want dad's DNA. We're so busy today. We're tied up in things. We don't pay attention to things because it's so much coming at us. But this is something you need to stop and look at. I think people need to stop and look at it. And if I can get them paying attention, they'll get their wives paying attention, their girlfriends and their kids and their parents. And pretty soon we'll all be paying attention to it, because this is something we should be paying attention to. Man, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. We're all friends here. It's no stress, man. You know what I mean? You talk, I talk, we're on computers. It's gonna happen.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think what people really want to know, so what you're saying is that this token is exchangeable for services and sequencing your DNA and putting it onto the blockchain, where you can be a member. You can be a member of the community. You can decide what happens, what studies you decide you want to participate in, the direction of the community itself, and potentially, by doing so, are these people entitled to, should their DNA code be involved in some of these studies that you talk about and discover some pretty amazing things? I think what you're kind of saying is that they could get rewarded for that potentially? Like if
yes, that's the whole idea of EDNAs, that a researcher would come to us and say, I want to do some research and I want to use some DNA. And okay, how many people do you want? What's your study require? How many, what kind of, do you want a certain ethnic background? Do you want are you interested in a certain disease? which typically that's how research is done. Now, there's two blocks of research. One is what Edna, the community, will be doing with that data pooling that I talked about, and that's all internal. That's our information. If we decide to monetize that, that's up to the community. We'll figure out. They'll figure out how. I haven't really thought that far down, except saying, well, that's a possibility, and we'll throw that out there. Let's vote on it. Let's figure out how we want to do it. Who's got a good idea? How do we market this? You know. And then there's the people that are going to come to us and say, hey, we need some DNA. We want some access, and we want health records. And we're only interested in Asians with heart disease. Okay, we've got a few of those guys. We'll put it out. Who wants to get into that study? Now we negotiate the contract. They throw in some Ednas to take the DNA, and the contract says you also commit that if you monetize out of that information, you create a new pill that cures Asian heart disease, we get a piece.
Because right now, I think this is another important point to really illustrate. Right now, is it possible that that's happening with some of these DNA tests that we're taking right now? That people are coming in, taking these, they're using it to test drugs, develop drugs, big pharma in particular, and profiting massive amounts of money off of the backs of people who just don't know what they're getting into?
Absolutely. The terms of service, again, I refer back to that because it says what they're going to do with it. It says it right there. We're going to sell this. And what the scary thing, you talked about the promise. If you read the terms of service, it says you warrant, you promise, you're not an insurance agent or an employer trying to get data on your employee. You promise that. Really?
That's easy.
That's good. You're going to take that? You know, I'm trying to build a totally trustless system. Let me talk about how we're going to collect the DNA, if you don't mind, real quick.
No.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
We're in negotiations now with a producer of the collection kit, the little cup you spit in and you dump the liquid in it and it preserves the DNA, okay? What our idea is we're going to buy a bunch of these, leave them at the manufacturer, and get an Edna PL where you give them a code. So you call this manufacturer that's just a vendor of ours and say, I want you to ship a kit to my house. So it comes to my house, I write my public key on it, spit in it, send it to Edna.
And then
you understand, Edna doesn't know who you are. We don't know where you live. We don't know anything about you other than this DNA and that public key. So we're off the hook as far as being trusted with your identity. We don't have your identity. We don't need it. We got the public key, and we know we're going to go put it in that wallet that you have control of. So we step out of the trusted world. I don't want to be there. I want a trustless society where we don't have to trust, right? That if we don't have to because it's in the contract and the software does it automatically, well, that's better. That's better. Because it can't be controlled. It can't be manipulated. It can't be used for purposes we don't know about, right? And that's where we're going to be. That's the only acceptable way to do this. Your identity's private.
Absolutely.
Unless you choose to share it. You want to help this researcher, you really believe in his project, you think, yeah, this guy's he's onto something. He can do some good stuff. I'm going to help support him. And then I'm going to get some reward for it. But that's my choice, not somebody saying, hey, man, what's in the box? You want that pizza? I'll give you that pizza. Give me that box.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. And as I said, the reason why I'm so passionate about what you're doing here is you know, A, it's using blockchain. It's using blockchain for something that's really, really cool. It's neat. It's innovative. But B, I really believe in the message that you're putting out there, because these things are becoming huge. I have my clients asking about them all the time. I was contemplating doing one. There's not a chance in hell. You couldn't pay me enough now, you know. And I think that it's funny the way that people just don't understand the implications of what they're doing when they're taking one of those swab tests and they're sending it off to another company and they're paying to do it. And that's really what struck me, and that's really what I enjoy about your projects. So Greg, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to chat with me. As I said, this is a project that's close to my heart because I think a lot of people out there are misinformed on how serious this information is, and I think a lot of people are paying a lot of big bucks to get, you know, a fraction of information so that other people can ultimately take it and go and profit off of it. And then of course we don't always know what they're doing with that particular profit. So I I really like your project. I'm excited about your project. And I just want to thank you so much for talking with me today. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And I look forward to seeing how everything develops.
And thanks for having us, Matt. It was a great chat. Thanks.
Absolute pleasure, my friend.